So, if you're a community manager, doesn't matter if you're a brilliant one, even an average community manager would do, apply at Bethesda right now. They need it. They need you because they did something that you should never do. Starfield came out. How can I say that? It wasn't the game of the year. It's not nominated as a GOTY, and there's a reason why, right? It's because, as I mentioned before, and that's my own point of view, but they released a base game. I won't call it bare bones because there's still quite a lot to do in there, but they really released a skeleton for modders to fix and enhance after, which is why I'm very sorry for console users. But it came out with his bugs and his issues, but the reviews were mixed or just negative. And Bethesda developers decided to answer these negative comments. Don't do that. Don't do that because you don't know who's posting it. Can be like some either teenager or smaller kids who just rant about the game. You don't know if they are not journalists. They are not professionally criticizing your game. Are just giving you the feel they have. If a certain amount of people is telling you that the feel is not good and it's not necessarily review bombing, that means there's something wrong with your game. So don't come back on the feed and reply say no, my game is good. Your opinion is crap. My game is good. It's really poor advertising for either you or your game. And that's what happens. There was a few comments which were quite fun. There was something about the loading screen. You don't imagine how much there's to download all of a sudden in 3 seconds of loading screen is nothing. Or the fact that there's the ship animation each time you box the ship, it's not boring. You are an action game. I'm supposed to have fun. I'm not supposed to walk 5 minutes from point A to point B in a vast plain of rocks, which is just different colors depending on the planet. That's boring. That's very boring. And you can't tell me that because I'm not having fun just walking 2 kilometers to go from the landing of my ship to some whatever cave where there's barely nothing inside. You're not No Man's Skies, you're not Star Citizen, that's boring. Having loading screen, you're talking about 3 seconds loading screen. If I'm on the capital city, I have to take the subway. That's not 3 seconds, that's 5 seconds loading screen. Go to my ship, I get in my ship, 5 seconds loading screen. I sit on the pilot seat, that's the animation of the ship getting out into space. Just these three things, I did already 3 or 4 loading screen and I haven't done nothing. I'm losing 1 minute per action I'm taking, and space if you don't have a fight or if you don't find a station, or space itself is just a loading screen where you just check the planet, scan it, and check where you want to land. That's not fun. Don't tell me I'm having fun when I'm not. Please. So if there's a lot of reviews like just what you did, don't say sorry for commenting. I let my developers loose because I'm sure that developers, it must be very frustrating for them because they worked for years on the game. They must have crunched on it. They must be very proud of their product, and they are right to be proud of the product because Starfield is not a bad game. So there's issues onto it. It's not a bad game in the end. Don't go answer people about no, your opinion is crap. My game is good and that's all it is. No, that's just not a good way of communicating. Just on that. That's why we have community managers, people who manage the community. Seems logical, but apparently it's not. Microsoft should know, but maybe they don't know any better. So if you don't know any better, hire one, and they will manage the bad comments or things like this for you.
No, I'm with Edgewater. I think it's a tricky business when you to engage. Apparently, sometimes indie devs do engage in the comments in Steam, but it's very rare for a larger company like Bethesda to engage because I guess they came out a little defensive, and that just rubbed people the wrong way. If it came out and said something like, "That's unfortunate. Maybe in the future we can work on this or something. Thank you for your feedback," or even if it was just simply "Thank you for your feedback," that might be one thing. But when you come out and say, like the example that somebody said was, the person was saying, you get to a planet, there's nothing to do there. It's just rocks. It's not very exciting. It's boring. And then if Bethesda comes out and they said in 1969, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, he wasn't bored. That's not the way you want to respond to your audience, and because that's just going to make you look petty. And yeah, so I don't think they handled it very well, but it is what it is.
I won't defend the comments, but I will defend the game. Because as Antoine was talking, I'm like, what is he talking about? I went and I looked at what they wrote. I'm like, oh my god, like that was my original job when I started moved worked for my first non-teaching company. Was hey, community manager. If you look up my name on LinkedIn, you're like that is my current role as community manager. It's the way they said stuff was just like incredible. Who let you loose and who said this? So this was somebody in PR was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to defend the game. That's going to be perceived by everyone as that's okay. And I think you should engage because Steam does have their functions. The developer responded, and this is what you want to hear. I would be happy if someone said, hey, Korean left a negative review. We should respond to him and say, this is what we're going to do. I'd be happy for that. I think every company should do that for negative reviews because it's you like going to the store. I think that they should have replied, but at the same time, a lot of the things people are complaining about are like, it's people say, okay, No Man's Sky can do this. No Man's Sky looks ugly. Honestly speaking, it is an ugly game. It doesn't look as nice as the
Stuff
Starfield. And Starfield, simple as that. And Starfield is a freaking huge game. It's 170 gigabytes, something like a huge amount of data. And if you had included and made this game, made space exciting, right? You would have added loads more data. And it's just no matter what, you can't the game that people wanted it's not possible with today's technology or you'd have to wait another 5 years and it's still a great game and honestly one thing I will say is as much as people love mods are not going to change the way like I played Skyrim when it came out 170 hours and I played Skyrim the legendary edition and it's still the same game for me even with mods and I'm like it doesn't I think from the middle-aged gaming perspective, it's not going to change the way you play a game. And Starfield is a good game. It was a good game for me. I stopped playing just because I didn't feel like there was enough choice. And there was a mission. I'm like, okay, this is the next big mission. And I feel like every other thing I was doing led me to this point. I'm like, oh God, I hate being forced to do something. And especially if it's like a stealth mission. There's like a Metal Gear Solid game, not the one that was just remastered. There's another one coming out soon and I'm like, oh my god, this looks so cool. And then I watched some of the video. I'm like, oh my god, all this stealth would just kill me. Like slowly walking, and I'm watching the time on my 1 hour of gaming session as I inch along in the jungle trying to kill someone. I'm like, no, stealth is a waste of time. That is my hot take for it.